Can a professional bowler be overrated? I've done many videos where I look at some of the most underrated PBA bowlers, and I think it's pretty obvious that a bowler can be underrated for a number of reasons. For example, it could be they were extremely talented, but for whatever reason didn't win as many titles as they could have done, or perhaps they did win some titles, maybe some majors as well, but just never seem to get the recognition that they deserve. But what about the opposite? Can a bowler be overrated? It's an interesting question, and I want to explain quickly how this thought came about. It was actually a suggestion that was made by somebody on one of my underrated bowlers videos, and they suggested that I do a similar video but for overrated PBA bowlers. And I thought about this, and at first I thought, yeah, that's an interesting idea, but then I thought, well, who would I include on a list like that? And I couldn't actually think of anybody. No bowler, past or present, came to my mind that I would consider to be overrated. And I thought it was a very interesting topic to discuss today. So I'm going to dive into it a little bit more and discuss whether a professional bowler can in fact be overrated. My opinion is that a pro bowler simply cannot be considered overrated. In my opinion, that term just simply doesn't exist. So let's dive into it a little bit more. The very basic definition for overrated is rated or valued too highly. Now, you hear this word overrated thrown around quite a lot when it comes to team sports, so whether it be football or basketball, but often you'll hear of players that are considered to be overrated. Now, that makes a little bit more sense when it comes to a team, because ultimately it's not one individual that is responsible for the team's performances and the team's results. It's obviously a combined effort. Yes, certain players can have a big positive or indeed negative impact, but ultimately you play as a team, you win as a team, and you lose as a team. So there are situations where certain players in team sports are considered to be, really talented and up there with the best in the game, but for whatever reason, they don't tend to perform as they should to back that up consistently. And that's how they pick up this label of being overrated, because simply their individual performances within the team do not match how they are rated. So I think it's certainly possible to have a player whose performances, and their general skill level or whatever, I do think it's possible that in a team sport, their impact on the team, shall we say, can be certainly overrated. But when it comes to an individual sport like bowling, that's very, very different, because ultimately the person that is responsible for your performances is yourself. There's not really anybody else there to help you or make you look good. Yes, okay, the pros, they have coaches and ball reps close by them, but at the end of the day, their performances live and die by how they perform. They could have the best coaching team, the best bowling balls, and the best ball reps around, but if they're not performing, then they're not going to get the results. So what that means is, if you have a player who's performing well, let's take an example at random. Let's take somebody like Tim Foy Jr. Okay, now he's a good example because he had a fantastic season last year. He made so many shows, he just didn't win a title. Now somebody could turn around and say, well, yeah, okay, he made loads of shows, but he didn't get it done on TV. So they could say that somebody like that is overrated. Now, I would 100% disagree with this, because at the end of the day, if you take the winning aside from it and you look at his performances throughout that season in 2025, it was up there with one of the best seasons we've seen in recent memory in terms of how often he was able to make the TV shows and puts himself in contention for titles. We pretty much saw him, week after week on TV, and he wasn't getting there via luck. He wasn't getting there via help of teammates. He was getting there because he was bowling so well. He was putting in consistent performances to put himself in the top echelons of the PBA Tour for that season. So as an example, how on earth could you say someone like that is overrated? It's simply absurd. Now, you might use the word overhyped, particularly if you've got a young rising star, you know, who's putting in performances, making shows, but perhaps people feel like his potential has been overblown and that he is just a player who is overhyped. But again, overhyped is different to overrated. So when you look at the players on the tour right now, every single one of them has earned their place there. They're not there by accident. They are there because they are the best bowlers. You know, they are there every week because they are putting in the performances. So not a single player on the tour now is overrated. How can they possibly be? They are there because week in, week out on tour, they're able to put in the results. They're putting in the work, they have the talent, and it's taken so much time and dedication for them to get there. And even if a player isn't particularly winning as many titles as they should, at the end of the day, when you look at it, if you've got a player in one season and they finish maybe second, they finish third a couple of times, they fourth, fifth, maybe they have 3 or 4 other top 10 finishes. Well, just because they didn't win a title, I mean, that's still a remarkable achievement throughout a season. I don't think people realize just how hard it is to win and win consistently on tour. And even those players, as I just said, who maybe are just around the top 50, just outside, even some of the fringe players who are qualifying through the PTQ and rising up. I mean, I just cannot see a single bowler right now on the PBA Tour that you could point to and say they are overrated, because like I said, for me, in an individual sport, that term is simply not relevant. It doesn't exist. They are there because of the work they are putting in, and they are there because they themselves are delivering performances which ultimately mean they stay on the PBA Tour and they're still competitive week in, week out. So as much as I love the suggestion and the idea, like I said, I just don't believe in the overrated idea in bowling. And even if I did, I sort of sit here and I think, well, I just can't think of any players really, past or present, that I could think of to make that kind of video. But instead, I thought it would be an interesting topic to discuss in today's video. But I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Please let me know what you think, whether you agree or whether you disagree, and whether you think a bowler, a professional bowler, can in fact be overrated. Let me know, and let me know the reasons why in the comment section below. We are almost at the start of the 2026 PBA season, I think just under a couple of weeks away. I will be doing a lot of videos breaking down the shows each week, and I'm really excited to see what the 2026 season will bring us. It's certainly going to have a bit of a different feel as well, going to a new network, but you know, we'll see what happens. I'm very much looking forward to it. And please don't forget, if you have enjoyed this video and you want to see more of my videos coming up on the 2026 PBA season, make sure to hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss those. Well, that's going to do it from me for today. And as always, thank you, bowling fans, and see you all next time.